History remembers those who make a mark, for good or ill. Some leave behind grand monuments, others inspire epic tales. But what happens when a ruler is purposefully erased, their memories stricken from records and their achievements dismantled? This is the story of Akhenaten, the pharaoh who dared to challenge the very fabric of Egyptian religion and whose name was almost lost to time. Akhenaten's reign, a flicker in the vast expanse of ancient Egyptian history, continues to fascinate us. His was a time of radical change, a dramatic departure from the norms of pharaonic rule. Yet within a few short years of his death, his name was cursed, his monuments defaced, and his revolutionary city abandoned to the desert sands. The systematic attempt to erase Akhenaten from history is a mystery as compelling as the man himself. Why was he so reviled? What threat did he pose to the established order? These questions have puzzled historians for centuries, ensuring that Akhenaten remains the subject of endless fascination and debate. Amenhotep IV, as Akhenaten was initially known, ascended to the throne of Egypt around 1353 BCE. Egypt at this time was at the zenith of its power, a wealthy and influential empire stretching from Nubia in the south to Syria in the north. The pharaoh was considered a living god, the embodiment of Horus on earth and the intermediary between the gods and humanity. From the outset, Akhenaten's reign was marked by a break with tradition. He introduced a new style of art, more naturalistic and expressive than the rigid formality of earlier periods. Statues depicted him with elongated features, a protruding belly and full lips, a stark contrast to the idealized physiques of his predecessors. But it was in the realm of religion that Akhenaten made his most radical move. He abandoned the traditional Egyptian pantheon of gods and goddesses in favor of a single deity, the Aten, symbolized by the sun disk. This was not merely a change in worship, but a complete overhaul of Egyptian cosmology, a shift from polytheism to a form of monotheism. To solidify his religious reforms, Akhenaten ordered the construction of a new capital city, Akhenaten, known today as Amarna. Located on a virgin site in Middle Egypt, Amarna was dedicated to the Aten. Temples, unlike their predecessors, were open to the sky, allowing the rays of the Aten to bathe the city in its divine light. Amarna was more than just a new capital, it was a statement. Its wide, open spaces contrasted with the cramped confines of Thebes, the former religious center. The city was built with astonishing speed, populated by artisans, officials, and priests who had pledged their allegiance to the Aten and its prophet king. Life in Amarna revolved around the worship of the Aten. Akhenaten and his wife, the beautiful Nefertiti, played central role in the daily rituals, basking in the sun's rays and making offerings to their god. Art from this period depicts a seemingly idyllic life, with the royal family shown in intimate scenes of domesticity, a stark contrast to the formal portraits of earlier pharaohs. However, the religious revolution Akhenaten had unleashed was not without its opponents. The priesthood of Amun, the traditional state god, had been stripped of its power and influence. The closure of temples dedicated to other gods caused resentment among the populace, who feared the wrath of their neglected deities. Akhenaten's preoccupation with his religious reforms led to neglect in other areas. He paid little attention to foreign affairs, allowing Egypt's vast empire to weaken. Rebellions broke out in the provinces, and Egypt's enemies sensed an opportunity to challenge its dominance. The seeds of discontent sown during Akhenaten's reign would ultimately lead to his downfall. His radical ideas, while sincere, proved too drastic for Egyptian society. The old gods, deeply ingrained in the fabric of Egyptian life, would not be so easily dismissed. Section 5. Whispers in the Sands. The exact circumstances surrounding Akhenaten's death remain shrouded in mystery. He disappeared from historical records after a 17-year reign, leaving no clear indication of his fate. His tomb in the royal necropolis at Amarna was unfinished and tellingly empty. Following Akhenaten's death, a period of confusion and uncertainty gripped Egypt. A shadowy figure, Smenkhkare, ruled for a short time, his relationship to Akhenaten unclear. He was followed by Tutankhaten, Akhenaten's young son, who would later change his name to Tutankhamun, a clear rejection of his father's religious beliefs. Under Tutankhamun and his successors, a concerted effort was made to erase Akhenaten's legacy. His name was struck from king lists, his monuments were dismantled, and his city of Amarna was abandoned to the desert sands. The old gods were restored to their former glory, and Egypt returned to the traditional religious practices that Akhenaten had sought to overturn. Theories abound regarding Akhenaten's disappearance and the subsequent effort to expunge his memory. Some scholars believe he died from natural causes, possibly an epidemic that swept through Egypt at the time. Others suggest he was assassinated by disgruntled priests or resentful members of his own court. The deliberate and systematic erasure of Akhenaten's legacy suggests a more complex motive than simply a desire to forget an unpopular ruler. It is likely that his successors, eager to restore stability and appease the priesthood, sought to distance themselves from his radical reforms. By erasing his memory, they could legitimize their own rule and present themselves as restorers of the traditional order. Whatever the reason, Akhenaten's fate serves as a stark reminder of the ephemeral nature of power. The pharaoh, who had once proclaimed himself the sole intermediary between humanity and the divine, was reduced to a ghost, his name whispered in hushed tones, his memory kept alive only in the ruins of his deserted city. For centuries, Akhenaten remained a shadowy figure, his story lost beneath the sands of time. Then, in the 19th century, archaeologists excavating at Amarna began to unearth evidence of his reign. Inscriptions on tombs and temples revealed the story of the heretic king who had dared to challenge the gods of Egypt. The discovery of Akhenaten's city caused a sensation. Here, preserved in the dry desert air, was a snapshot of a lost world, a glimpse into a period of extraordinary religious and artistic innovation. The artifacts unearthed at Amarna, from delicate jewelry to stunning examples of Amarna art, provided a unique insight into the life and times of this enigmatic pharaoh. Akhenaten's rediscovery sparked a wave of interest in his reign. Scholars and the public alike were captivated by the story of the pharaoh who had dared to be different, the king who had turned his back on tradition and embraced a new vision of the divine. Akhenaten's legacy continues to be debated today. Some view him as a visionary, a religious reformer who sought to elevate Egyptian spirituality to a higher plane. Others see him as a fanatic, a tyrant who forced his unorthodox beliefs on an unwilling populace. The truth, as is often the case, likely lies somewhere in between. Akhenaten was undoubtedly a complex figure, driven by a sincere belief in his religious vision, but also capable of ruthlessness in pursuit of his goals. His reign, though short-lived, left an indelible mark on Egyptian history, a testament to the power of ideas and the enduring allure of the unknown. The debate surrounding Akhenaten reflects our own fascination with the past and our desire to make sense of the motivations and actions of those who came before us. In the end, Akhenaten remains an enigma, a ruler whose true nature may forever elude us. The story of Akhenaten is a potent reminder that history is not static. It is a fluid narrative, constantly being reshaped and reinterpreted as new evidence emerges and new perspectives are brought to bear. Akhenaten, once consigned to oblivion, has been resurrected from the sands of time, his story now an integral part of our understanding of ancient Egypt. The mystery surrounding Akhenaten's reign continues to fascinate us. His radical religious beliefs, his enigmatic personality, and the dramatic attempt to erase his memory from history ensure that he remains a subject of endless debate and speculation. Akhenaten, the heretic king, the vanished pharaoh, continues to cast a long shadow across the sands of time, a testament to the enduring power of mystery and the enduring fascination with the past.